Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Andy? Sorry, good afternoon. I'm Andy Sully. I'm Chair of the Harbour Management Advisory Committee. I'd like to welcome everybody today to this meeting. Obviously, we've got members of the public who are joining us online. I'll just run through some basic housekeeping. Today's meeting will be run using the webcasting system via Microsoft Teams. Committee members and key officers are physically present at the GMR and at the Dean House. Just like to say, we do not intend to have obviously any fire drill practice today, but if the fire alarm does go off, we'll all go downstairs and meet in the car park. Other elected members and officers may physically or remotely join the meeting to speak on specific agenda items or observe. This meeting is being webcast, therefore members of the public and partners can observe the meeting remotely. The agenda pack, the papers is available via mod.gov or directly from the council website from links which were sent out to members. When you're invited to speak, could you clearly state who you are for the benefit of anyone who is listening to the meeting so they can identify who is speaking? Advise those present at the meeting that I'm advising you that this is all going to be recorded, this meeting. Finally, as agendas are now viewed electronically, could I kindly request that members and officers refer to page numbers from the published agenda pack to assist all present in finding the appropriate information. Right, we'll move on to the agenda. So number one is apologies for absent. Josh, do we have any apologies for absent?
Thank you, Chair. I've got apologies from Councillor Lee Redmond and we've got Councillor Claire Sully online, and apologies from COLT member Nick Adams.
Thank you, many thanks for that, Josh. Right, minutes from the previous meeting. Hopefully you've all had time to read the minutes. Are you happy that I sign these as a true reflection of the meeting on the 29th of July 24? Yes, great. Okay, you're proposing. Thank you, Rosemary. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cravis. Thank you. Great. We'll move on to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Do any councillors have any declarations that are not already stated in councillors' declarations of interest on the council website? Anyone want to add anything today? No, that's great. We'll move on swiftly. Right, we'll go straight to public questions, which is agenda item 4. We have received the following public speakers. So we've got Kate Jeffries, who I believe is online. And Kate, when you're ready, you have 3 minutes to ask your question. Thank you.
Kate, you're on mute at the moment.
Thank you, Chair. The context for this is Watchet Marina and the new lease arrangements. I have concerns about the long-term viability of this and the lack of transparency around the arrangements. The Watchet Harbour and the marina within it is a key community asset. It's crucial at the town scale, important at the county level as a jewel in the crown of the Somerset coast. Also has regional importance as part of the maritime heritage and story of the Bristol Channel. I know you all know this. What I'm worried about is that Somerset Council is signing a long-term lease with an organisation which has a unknown track record and that there are unknown ways to monitor and manage this and make sure that it's going to be a success in the long term. Public-private partnerships tend to, from what I've seen, work best when there is transparency and clear key performance indicators and means to address issues when they go wrong. Otherwise, there's a risk of a failure to invest in the long-term success of organisations. This is seen at the national level as well as the local level, with water companies being a prime example of a private organisations in charge of assets of community and community value, where clear performance indicators are needed in order to make sure that they go right. So I have 2 key questions. One is to ask what the key performance indicators are that will be used to measure the success of the lease arrangement, and allied to that, how will these be monitored and maintained, and how will they be reported on? And my second key question is to do with the issue of the harbour and the harbour side area in particular being vulnerable to development by this company, and the benefits of that then disappearing to the funders with no comeback or benefit for the community. And that would be yeah, not a good idea. So would the advisory board support ring fencing of any uplift from harbourside development to make sure that that uplift is secured for the future management of Watchet Harbour? So a mechanism might be a Section 106 agreement and or a conservation covenant. And this would, I think, help to address the risk associated with this new lease arrangement.
Thank you, Kate. I have Officer Sarah Dowden who will give a response. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Kate. As per correspondence you've had with the clerk, I'm going to provide an answer today to 1E and 1I, and then the rest will be responded within 20 working days. So the answer to question 1E. The council has not established a set of KPIs as such, but there are conditions and clauses in the revised lease which the marina operator must work to. These are mainly around health and safety and marina law, but there is also provision for other operational measures such as ensuring the marina has a minimum water depth once the dredging programme is complete. The revised lease makes conditions clearer for both parties, which wasn't the case with the previous version. This will make enforcement much easier for the council should it ever be required. The performance of the operator will be monitored via our regulatory services team, which includes the council's harbour master. Previously, as Somerset West and Taunton, there was no in-house harbour master roles within the organisation, so the revised lease and more capacity on the ground, we are in a far better place to ensure the marina is well run by any operator. Question 1I. There is overage provision in the revised lease that protects the council's interest should development on the harbour side take place in the future. Any overage the council receives is not ring fenced to the marina. Whether the board support ring fencing is a question for them, but it is the view of officers that any potential ring fencing should be for the community development rather than to mitigate risk of conditions of the contract not being met.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. I believe we have Sarah Reid who wants to ask a question on a similar nature. Thank you. If you'd like to come up to the desk over here. Okay. Right. I'd like to make yourself comfortable. And if you could press the right-hand button.
This is very short. In the minutes of the Harbour Management Advisory Committee dated the 29th of July 2024, Captain Tyson stated in her response to public questions that officers and the lead member previously offered to engage with the Minehead Sailing Club. Also, in a recent article and broadcast on BBC Somerset and Points West, a council spokesman stated to the public that we have always been, Somerset Council, open to positive engagement and discussion and continue to be so. My questions relate to these statements as follows. And the first question is, can the committee please ensure that these statements are substantiated with the relevant personnel in relation to the Minehead Sailing Club and their 9 requests to engage and discuss with things with the portfolio lead holder and fee setting officers?
Thank you. Sarah, do you have a response? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just going to pick up questions, answers to questions.
Do I read my second question as well, or I've just read one? Right, I've just read.
Sorry, Carol. So I thought you'd finished. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry, Sarah. Carry on.
Okay, the second question is, can this committee endorse and forward on to the Sailing Club's request for a meeting to allow a discussion from both sides to promote positive engagement, something the council advocates but has not given the Minehead Sailing Club the opportunity to do so to date?
Thank you, Sarah. Is that the end
That's
of
it, yeah.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And over to Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
So as before, I'll be answering questions 3A and 3B, and if there was anything further that we've picked up from your questions you've just asked, we'll get a response to you. So question 3A, I will absolutely follow up with relevant officers and members to arrange a suitable meeting. The settings of the fees and charges do need to go through the usual democratic process in line with all the other fees and charges for Somerset Council. And for 3B, as with the previous answer, a meeting can be arranged.
Right, okay, lovely, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Right. Okay, we've got Debbie Allen who'd like to come forward. Debbie. So you've got 3 minutes from now. Thank you.
Thank you. On the 29th of July 2024, I submitted a question to this committee asking for an appeal by this advisory team to Somerset Council to urgently review the disastrous fee increases for Minehead Harbour users. It was answered and minuted by stating that officers and lead members had previously offered to engage with the club and that there was an external review pending. I would like to put on record that both of these statements were incorrect and neither have actually happened, although we remain committed to facilitating both. I requested a 5-minute slot at the next advisory meeting scheduled for the 28th of October 2024 to give Harbour users a platform to express their concerns regarding the desertion of leisure users due to the fee increases. This meeting was subsequently cancelled as I was informed that there was nothing on the agenda. We still await the minutes from the stakeholders' meetings in April 2024 and November 2024, so you can understand our frustration. We don't have a voice. Today's fee proposals report actually states there was no consultation. There was no consultation on the 24-25 fee proposals either, which led to the closure of the Harbour charity and cessation of all non-motorised water activities for everyone. It would be appropriate and appreciated if the current and pending fees could be waived to allow paddles, oars and sailboat-based craft to launch without further delay. This should be your recommendation to the Executive today. By the report author's own admission, it is a small amount of income for the Council, and yet hundreds of man-hours at what cost to the taxpayer have been spent already. We have one of the most expensive slipways in the UK with no facilities and more often than not, no water. It will never be run on a cost-neutral basis with staff costs at nearly £1,000 a week for Minehead Harbour alone, as confirmed by a Freedom of Information request. How does this committee intend to advise the Executive on a way forward to rebuild bridges and trust with Minehead Harbour users and encourage health and well-being to a resentful and noticeably absent community? Can the advisory committee in good conscience really advise the Executive that they recommend these fee proposals, giving procedural failings, delays in accessing documents, and ongoing issues surrounding the current fees, for which discussions, investigations and reports are still pending? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Debbie. We will get, obviously, your question obviously came in late. We'll get a full, we'll get a full written response to all that you've got. Obviously, a lot of points you've raised today, and we'll get a full written response, and it'll be circulated to all the committee members when we send it to yourself. Okay. Thank you.
But the question came in late because the figures came in late.
Yes, but we'll give you a full, because obviously you've got a lot of points there. They need properly articulating it, and you need a proper answer to all your questions, which we will do. Thank you. Got Alan Dyer's question will be read out by Josh.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm reading this question out on behalf of Alan Dyer. This was submitted and he cannot be attending the meeting today. I will time myself 3 minutes as if it was him. Minehead Harbour is a problem. This is what people in Somerset think. Concerns that have been raised by our MP and others have been shared on the BBC website and on BBC regional news in both local and national media. The Sailing and Water Sports Club has ceased to function, depriving a local charity of its ability to play a part in health and recreation. The cannons have been illegally removed, incurring expense. The Department of Transport is investigating harbour mismanagement, and the Ombudsman is investigating procedural failures in local government. How have we arrived at this state of affairs? Who is responsible, and what measures will be taken to sort it out?
Right. Sarah's going to provide a response. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. There has been change to the management of the harbours since 2023, and this has brought together different approaches and ways of working to bring all the harbours and ports in line across Somerset. This work has coincided with Somerset Council facing a financial emergency and a piece of work around fee alignment across the whole of the council, including the harbours and ports of Somerset. Going forward, the team are working towards a plan for the ports and harbours, giving clear direction, understanding areas we need to improve upon, and working with the communities where we are able. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah. Right, so that's the end of the questions, isn't it?
Yes.
We don't have any, okay, great. So we're now at the end of the public session part. We'll move on to agenda item 5, which is the fees and charges report. And we've got Sarah's going to introduce it. Thank you.
Thank you for reading through the report that's been provided on the fees and charges. So I guess the scene setting for this and for this year is that officers have been working under a great deal of pressure across the whole of the council to increase fees and charges as much as they are able and the services can sustain. Within this area, you'll see from the report, officers have pushed back and said actually an increase in line with inflation around 3 or 4% is much more needs to be the case in this area. So officers have pushed back here, and that's been reflected in the fees and charges report you can see here. The ports and harbours we all recognise should be covered by income. The activity should be covered by income, but in fact it isn't, and it's subsidised by council tax for all the residents across Somerset. There is also, in addition to the report that was done today, a late submitted equalities impact assessment in relation to the report as well. So any feedback on your thoughts that can be fed back to the lead members and decision makers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. That's great. Thank you. I'll open it up to members now. Do members have any questions? We'll start off with Councillor Hadley. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm going through the fees and charges, and I am going to go to mine head beans. That's my patch. It says annual kayak / paddleboard launch for Minehead Sailing and Water Club Sports Club, and it gives an annual fee. I'm confused on that already. Is that for every member of the sail club that pays that? Is that for the amount of paddleboards or kayaks that the sail club own, or is it for anybody who happens to declare that they've got one? What happens to, I mean, it is a sailing club, right? So they're sailboats, they're rowboats. How much they got to charge for them? They've got a safety tender as well, which is a motorised, but I think any agreement with the sailing club should encompass all the crafts and the facilities that they offer. Now, I've written many emails to try and help and to suggest different things. The latest one was on the 14th of November, asking them if they could even look at what I'm recommending and go to the sailing club and discuss it and negotiate. So my question is, and I know the answer because the two ladies are here, have we negotiated with the sailing club over the fees and charges that you're going to charge them, or is this just being imposed? If not, why not? This has been going on for well over 12 months now. It's, in my mind, this is a simple thing to resolve. It's a simple negotiation with the sailing club, with the council, to be able to allow the sailing club to operate in a reasonable manner that they can do, and Minehead Harbour can get back to work again. It is dying down there. I mean, most people are just going off the beach. You're not going to gain a lot of money. Most tourists who come in will go up the beach and go off the beach when the tide's in. It's simple as that. When the tide's out, you wouldn't want to go down the slipway anyway. You go up to your ankles in mud. So it is a simple negotiation. Why has it not happened? why are we still doing this 12 months later? And why are we going into the next round of fees and charges without any sort of resolution and a simple line saying they're going to charge £20, £50 for kayaks and paddle boards? Doesn't say anything, doesn't tell me where that goes with the sailing club. If the sailing club have just got 2 paddle boards, that means everybody, they pay their 50 quid and everybody can use the slipway? Or is it every member's got to pay that? So I'm totally confused, and I'm sure these 2 ladies are as well.
Andrew, did you get a response to email? Who did you send it to?
It was sent to, and I'm sorry, Sarah, but I'm quite confused where you fit in there, because I always thought it was Chris Hall,
Yeah.
Federica as the elected member,
Yeah.
and Jessica as the captain, and the market, then the harbour master.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not sending you them because you are the one that needs to have them, I apologise, and you will get bombarded with them in the future. No problem. But no, I haven't received.
Okay,
I've sent a number of emails and very rarely get a response.
Okay. Sarah will explain her position in the structure in a second, because I wasn't too sure till today where Sarah sat. And I don't know if Sarah's got any answers to the questions on the nitty-gritty that Andrew has just asked. Thank you.
My name's Sarah Dowden. I'm the Service Director for Regulatory and Operational Services. I line manage Dave Coles, who is the Head of Regulatory Services and looks after the Port and Harbours, where Jess Tyson works. Chris Hall is my manager, so I line report into Chris Hall. I'm here today essentially because of long-term sickness absences we have within the team, with the Harbour Master being off for a planned operation. And unfortunately, Dave Coles, the Head of Regulatory Services, currently unwell at this time, with a return date unknown currently. So that's why I'm here today. With that in mind, I am not going to be able to, I have not seen your email, so I can't comment on the detail or the nitty-gritty. So I think my advice would be, if you have the questions, I can look into it and come back to you with an answer.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Councillor Cravis.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for pronouncing my name right. Really chuffed with that. Thank you. Apologies, I'm flipping between the agenda, the fees and charges, and then Andy's emails. And I'd like to thank Andy for picking up on those emails, because we both had conversations about this, and he's obviously dealt with it a little bit better than me. I have to fully support what Andy says, or Councillor Hadley says, and I do worry. And the second thing that was read out there, I do worry that this seems to have turned into something when it shouldn't have been. It had to turn into something. It's simple. I mean, you talk about, I think you mentioned it there, about the scale of our budget and the scale of potential gaps in our budget and the scale of this. And it's not even minutiae, is it? It's minutiae, and it's turned into a political thing, which it just didn't need to be, because at the end of the day, it's a slipway and a few kayaks. And there's been a couple of instances, and so I'm not shooting the messenger here at all, because really, it's the buck stops with the portfolio holder for this. Buck stops with the cabinet and the executive. It shouldn't have turned into this. It appears, and if I was part of the Minehead Harbour or user, it would appear that this is them not in Taunton telling us how to live in West Somerset, which does happen sometimes a bit too often without any consultation. No one's phoned me about it and said, what do you think? It'd be nice if they had. I do think the obvious solution is, and I don't know if there's a figure in mind, but again, a simple half-an-hour conversation with the harbour users and the yacht club would be: is there a fixed fee per member that we can put that will satisfy for the year? And I think we do seriously need to sit down and do it, because we need to recommend this to the executive, which will then form part of the budget. And that budget's a very complicated document. I'm sure there are many people who read it absolutely all the way through, but this will get lost in it. So it needs to be dealt with now, Chair, and doesn't need to be kicked down the road. I do worry that, and I worry about the comments that were read out there. I do worry that people are taking this to the Ombudsman, because people are saying things that, are they happening? Are they not happening? And there should be, and it's a big organisation, this council. things happen that maybe not in the way they should, or something goes wrong, someone makes a mistake, because we're all human, and this human error can happen. And did you phone them? No, I didn't. I meant to. I forgot. I mean, I forget everything at the moment. But rather than sit there and then double down and try and defend it, just get on and solve the problem. And this is a simple thing, because as Andy said, they can launch from the beach, or they can turn up in Blue Anchor, and there's a slipway there that you can launch a kayak down, launch a paddleboard down. There's no real economic benefit to West Somerset to people driving to Blue Anchor to launch their paddleboards, etc. They're not in the town. So we need to deal with it, and we need to deal with it now, and we need to deal with it before we send this report to the exec, or whether we put an amendment in the report. But
thank you,
gets a bit
Mark.
clever for me.
Thank you. I think the steer from you obviously is that you'd like a meeting, obviously, with the lead member, the lead portfolio member, which is Federica Smith-Roberts, and maybe Sarah and yourself and Andy, to see what can be done on the fees and charges. Are you happy to meet with Federica, Andrew, and Marcus, and then decide what's going to go forward? Then have a meeting with the sailing club. Yeah, are you happy with that, Andrew? Happy with that, Marcus? Yeah, okay. So we'll get Josh to organise that. Obviously, you've got to liaise with the dives with Federica, Sarah, Andy, and Marcus, and we'll take it from there. If everyone's happy on that bit, okay. Do we have any other questions on the fees and charges? Because obviously, it all looks, when I read through it all looks quite in order, in the sense that we're basically going for a sort of standard inflation across the whole board, just to keep us on par really with last year. So obviously we'll park the fees and charges for the sailing club at the moment, but is everyone happy? If there's any more questions, everyone happy, then I could go through to the reclamation unless you've got more questions. You've got a question from Councillor Hadley?
Yeah, just one. And I understand from some of the questions that have been asked today, sometimes the sailing club issues tend to get intertwined or mixed up with general harbour issues.
Right.
I do believe that we need to deal with the sailing club and resolve their issues so that they can get sailing again. Harbour issues, I think, should be dealt with separately. I don't think we can deal with the two together, and that's not helpful to try and get. If there's issues with the harbour generally, fine, that needs resolving. But I think the sailing club needs dealing with as a separate entity so that they can get working and they can get doing what they need to do.
Certainly, come in, Mark.
Yeah, I think there's a benefit. There's a benefit to, I mean, there's always benefits to joining any club. And I think, there's a benefit. There's a benefit to the people of Minehead generally, people of West Somerset generally, for that sailing club to thrive. And if they, and have more members, and the more members, then it thrives a bit more, then it becomes more active, becomes a bit better. I mean, you see stuff goes on in Watch It, and you see people out there, and it would be nice. I'm backing up what Andy says again. It'd be nice that we look at that separately. I mean, there's all sorts of harbour fees in there that I think you could break down individually, but that what you're asking is for that to be looked at as a separate. Those
general harbour fees. If people have got general harbour fees, if people got grievances about them, fine. We listen to those, and the decisions will be made. That is what the role is. That's what you do.
Absolutely.
But I think for the sailing club, because they've got a specific issue, they're a charity, they're working on the harbour, they need to get back to what they do best. They need to get back to teaching the kids to sail and, attracting people to the water. So that is a separate issue. What they need to do is to be able to launch their boats and deal with their organisation in an adequate manner. What happens in the harbour, whether it be good, bad or indifferent, that is a different issue. We need to sort that out as well.
Thank you. I take that on board. Rosemary.
I believe we had an email that came down that said that the Harbour Board would be receiving 3.1% from the council to help run the harbour. And that is what I signed because I thought, well, actually, they're offering us a 3.1% positive rather than we can get what we can out of people, which is what they were doing. But I seemed it quite reasonable that the council as a whole should take responsibility for the harbours. And that is what I would like to see. And that's where we're heading for, I hope. Now, what happens at Minehead is a separate issue to the whole harbours, as I see it, because the email that I got said that we would get guaranteed this money for the harbours, not that we would have to get it out of anybody we could. And I thought, well, that's actually quite a step forward for them to be offering us something, because they tend to ignore us. My opinion, and that's all it is that the council as a whole would rather we didn't have harbours. They ignore our coast. That's how I see it. But anything that actually says that we're getting money for the coast is good.
Thank you for that, Rosemary. Does anybody else have any questions? Over to you. Yeah.
Okay, my name's Neil Adams. Are we able to have differential pricing?
Christine, can you mute your mic, please?
Okay, are we able to charge one community in Somerset one set of rates and then charge other people in Somerset a different set of rates? Because that would be a problem I'm seeing with offering something special to the sailing club.
Yeah, at the moment in Watchet, you've got organisations like Sea Scouts who've got an arrangement with the council. All I'm saying is because the sailing club is actually a charity, it's a charitable organisation that teaches sailing. It can be dealt with on an individual basis rather than as a general public.
Carry on.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm just looking at a potential pitfall if we're seen to be offering different rates to different organisations.
I think that will come in the discussion with Sarah, the portfolio holder, and the councillors about who gets charged what and what service they get out of it. Okay.
I mean, the simple answer is we're already doing it for other organisations, so it's nothing out of the ordinary.
Right, no, that's a good question. Thank you. Right, if there's no more questions, I'll go to the recommendation. And the recommendation is we note the proposed 25-26 charges, but I'll caveat that we're going to obviously have a meeting before it goes to executive, so we can thrash out. Come in, Marcus.
Well,
sorry.
can we make an amendment to the recommendation? So that's an amendment to the recommendation rather than just a caveat.
Well, I suppose we could say the recommendation is that we want it to be looked at, and we're going to as part of it's going to come out from the discussions you have with Sarah, Federica. That will go to the executive. That's what I propose. I'm going to propose. Are you happy with that? That your discussions and what you come to as a conclusion?
Yeah, all I would say is at the moment, I'm not happy with the way the recommendations are in this form. I'm happy to go and have further discussions before they go to executive.
Yeah.
But that needs to be the recommendation.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. I take your point. That will be the recommendation, that we're going to have some more discussions before it goes to executive. But on whole, we recommend the fees and charges increase for the Port of Bridgewater, Watchet and Minehead Harbours set out in Appendix A of this report to the executive meeting on the 3rd of February, ahead of full council on the 19th of February for consideration as part of the council's annual budget setting. So we obviously caveat that we want to have okay. I'm just going to get some help from Joshua in terms of the wording then, so we satisfy what Councillor Hadley and Councillor...
So if Councillor Hadley wants to change recommendation, more than welcome to. The wording I would perhaps put in would be that you, subject to discussions with relevant parties that you would like, then the committee are willing to note the proposed changes. Are you hoping that from discussions you want changes to be made to the actual finances?
I'm hoping that after discussions that we can actually come to an agreement with Minehead Sailing Club so that they know exactly what they're going to be charged and they're happy being charged for it. They know they've got to pay something. We know they've got to pay something, but we just need to know where it's going to sit, and everybody's happy with that. At the moment, what's in there does nothing to tell anybody anything. And I think it needs a proper discussion around the sailing club and their activities and what is going to be paid for that.
Okay, Andrew, fine. So we're going to, so if we're going to do that, do I need to put the words into the recommendation when I read it?
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
would be subject to amendments that are made by.
Okay, right.
Good.
Amendments. Okay, so basically we'll note the fees and charges for 25-26, subject to amendments made through further discussions with the portfolio holder and the Director of Regulatory Services. Okay. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Hadley, seconder, Councillor Gravis. Thank you. So the fees and charges, take a vote on that? Yeah, we need to take a vote. Yeah, I mean, keep me on the straight and narrow. Take a vote. Sorry. Good you're here. Take a vote. Thank you. Great. Excellent. Thank you. Right. Agenda item 6 is the work programme. Josh is going to just whiz up on screen for us. We can have a quick look at that.
I just want to highlight in this work programme, it's very small, hang on. Just highlighting the work programme, so obviously we've had, as Sarah's mentioned, absence within the team, so we've pushed back quite a lot of stuff that isn't statutory and it's not on the work programme going forward whilst we get the statutory stuff done. So we're just looking at the next meeting, which is the 28th of April, just to do our annual report to the executive, which is a statutory thing that we must follow as the committee. And then going into the next year, then we might add in any extra things that the committee would like to wish. So if the committee would like to put anything forward for future, such as the business plan, which I know has been part of it, then you're more than welcome to.
Thank you for that, Josh. Any questions on the work plan? Obviously, we'll be doing the business plan. Yeah, it's quite important, but obviously we'll be doing that during we'll probably do that as like a member workshop, like we did before, because obviously there's lots of things we need to thrash out. Stuart's doing a fantastic job on doing the structure of the report. Both Stuart, sorry, I forgot you. Neil, that's it. Sorry, had a black Neil as well. So that is a big part of our work. Obviously, is the business plan, and then we've got the environmental plan to do. But is there anything else that needs to be added onto the work programme? Obviously, we'll have things that will come. Obviously, when Jess is back and Dave, there will be things that as the day-to-day things which we'll be putting back onto the programme. Andrew.
Yes, Chair. I'm just thinking, I mean, obviously we've got the business plan, we've got the environmental plan for a high level that we're working on, but there's nothing in here at the moment that's a bit lower level for the individual harbours of anything, health and safety issues or anything that might need doing in the harbours or general work like that we need to be aware of that's coming along.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a massive,
No,
but it should perhaps be
like we
an
used to do.
item on the
Yeah.
agenda each month.
Yeah, I've had words with Jess with this before. She said that she'll bring things to us when we have our meetings to do with which we always used to get a health and safety update from Craig, obviously for Watch It and Mindhead. So yes, we will put that onto the agenda.
Yeah, I know I'm going back to the old
Yeah,
days
yeah.
when we had a committee. We
Yes.
always used to have a point where, okay, you used to go down to the
Down to
the nitty gritty with
need that
ladders and
ladder
gates, but
immediately, yeah,
you
yeah.
perhaps want to be a bit higher than that.
Yes,
But
yeah.
we need to
That'll-
know what's going
yeah,
on in
definitely,
the Force.
definitely. That'll form part of obviously the plan, obviously for next year. Okay, right. So
Thank you, Chair. Sorry,
Yeah.
On that, so it's how we bring, because obviously we had a question there about Watch It, and I think I understood the question and the answer sort of. It's all a bit complicated, I suppose, what's going on there. But say there are issues in Watch It and they got brought up, or we got contacted because we sit on here, whether I have a harbour in my division or not, which I don't actually have a harbour in my division, believe it or not.
No.
But then how would we bring them forward now? Is there, a specific agenda item? I mean, is it a case of emailing the chair and saying, we want to discuss this at the next meeting?
I thought that Jess was going to, when she goes to the Watch It Like Harbour Advisory Committee, and then those things were meant to be, she's going to bring, the highlight, the key points from those meetings she has to us to inform us. That's how it was going to be. Andrew.
Without being a broken record, and obviously we've got the two ladies here, they still haven't had the minutes from the last two meetings in Mindhead, so that may not be working too well at the
Right,
moment.
I think what we need to do, probably look at Jess's, how can I put it, her workload, because she obviously, it seems to just be Jess. And obviously there's that admin side of things that seems to be seen slipping through the net. So we need to give her some sort of support, I think. You could note that, so.
Yeah, when Jess returns, I'll have a conversation with her about how we can make sure we're getting the support she needs to get when we've had the meetings, get the admin out as a result of it. And generally, yeah, what she brings to these meetings every time is up for discussion, and whether there is a risk it'll get too operational, and that wasn't my understanding of the purpose of this meeting. But obviously I am new to this, so that's I'm happy to have that discussion about what comes in every time as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Marcus, yeah.
If I can, sorry, mind you, we haven't got the biggest agenda in the world, and I slept all the way here, so I'm gonna might as well get my money's worth out the heating. Yeah, I mean, because obviously what Jessica adds to this is a depth of knowledge and everything else. What we don't want to be doing is tying up her time with writing up minutes. Nobody wants to do that. But then how do we offer that support when we haven't got any resource? And that's my fear, is that they haven't got resource, and then people will be saying, well, we can up the fees and charges, and we end up in this ever increasing or decreasing circle of the service just getting worse and worse. And I suppose this is a question that gets asked a lot with the restructuring, is how do we still do the restructure? How do we make those savings and restructure and then still provide a service? Now there's other services, no disrespect to boat owners, but there's other services that this council operates that are far, are literally a matter of life and death. I mean, you could say that with the harbours as well, but more direct. And so my concern would be is how we find that resource. But I do think that if we want to provide a functional service for a part of a community, something the council does that is an essential part of a coastal community. It's how we do that and manage to pay for it.
Okay, thank you. I think Sarah will take that on board. Right, thank you. Sorry, Neil.
Stuart and I have been working on a strategy for the harbours. I'm concerned to hear that we'll formally discuss it in 2 meetings' time. So if we set aside the April Harbour meeting for the annual report. So can we submit the draft that we have now to you for formal circulation, so that we can get input from other people on the committee, please?
Yes, it's an ongoing live document, obviously, because it's on the drive. Sorry?
Okay, we've got it to a stage where we now need people to formally reply to us rather than to add or subtract pieces from the from a working document. So, as I say, can we formally give it to you for circulation to get comments back so that we can move to the next iteration and hopefully get this strategy up and running sooner rather than later?
Absolutely, yes, yes. I think that's the end, obviously, the work programme. I think that is the end of the agenda. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today and have a safe journey home. Thank you.